So, welcome, Barcelona, to XenServer for VMware admins. Hands up if you're a XenServer admin. Cool. Hands up if you're a VMware admin. Cool.
Then this is for both of you.
All three of you. And the rest can just join in the fun. This is the Magic Fountain Edition. Alex doesn't like people recycling sessions that have been done before. So we changed this slide. Right, should we crack on?
Yes, let's do that.
If you want to tweet about this session, by all means do. If you want to text your friends, by all means do. If you want to walk out right now because you're not bothered about XenServer or VMware, then please fuck off. There we go. Should we introduce ourselves? This is Jim.
I'm going to do this. Give us the mic.
The new grandfather.
Grandfather.
Everyone, a round of applause.
Thank you very much. So, my name's Jim Morrow. I work for FS Logics. I'm a CDP. I help run the Citrix user group in the UK. Now, you may think that this man over here looks like Andrew Wood. Andrew Wood has gone to work for Amazon.
So can't officially speak here.
Can't officially speak. Not allowed. Terms and conditions of the contract. So I would like you to welcome to the stage with a large round of applause for the first time, Esteban the Magnificent.
Sorry? Correct me. Well spotted. Award yourself a prize.
So you can take some of your own names and you can drink it. I'm saying spelling our own names right on the title slide is you know, the first step, which we have failed at.
Actually, the first step was getting this.
The first step was get the slide to work. But yeah, okay.
I've done that as well. Why?
One mic, really handy, one mic.
Why are we doing this? A while ago, Mike Nelson, has we've heard of Mike Nelson CTP? Yep. Yeah, Mike did a really nice job. Woo, woo, woo. Yep. Not too energetic. Calm it down just a little bit. No, you can do that.
Oh, okay.
Then you're being useful.
I've got one job.
Mike did a really nice presentation talking VMware admins through XenServer administration. I would think that many people have a mix of environments. And Citrix did some surveys on this. And the survey said from Citrix that most people who were doing XenApp and desktop deployments were using XenServer. And I thought...
Bullshit.
More or less. But this data came from, and they described how it is that they got it from their own telemetry.
So their own telemetry, so what used to be TAS, now Scout, whatever you call it now.
Thank you very much.
So they said, we know this is true, because we have all the data, we have all the telemetry to prove that most people do XenApp and desktop on XenServer. And I was still thinking bullshit. So I attended the Xen Desktop Masterclass, and they did a survey in the Xen Desktop Masterclass where they said, what is your primary HAG provider for your EUC deployment? Now this is a Citrix Masterclass. 60% said vSphere. This is closer to what I actually see out there.
So which ones would you believe? Would you believe this data? This data? Or would you believe the other data? So hands up for this data.
What does Eugene say? Oh, look at that.
Oh, and hands up for the other data.
I think our feelings were correct on
I
this.
think our feelings were correct.
Okay.
We said about 70.
Yeah. In fact,
So Controller have got a lot of data, 70% use for vSphere. Okay, so yeah. I believe him more than anything else actually, because he actually has the data.
I believe these guys. Like Pro, Mark's not in, so I can't.
He is.
Oh, he is. There you go. I believe these guys who went out and actually asked.
This is actually all of your data. This is not
all
my
of your data should all be contributing to the video. Like, hands up if you've actually been to the website and checked out all the information that's there. Hands up if you've been to the website and checked out everything. Good. And if you haven't, then I encourage you to do so.
Yeah, so the top three here are vSphere and then XenServer coming down there. So there may be a lot of people who are thinking, I'm on vSphere and I'm having to move to XenServer. Now, we're not here to take the piss or write on XenServer. We are not Alex.
If you want someone to take the piss out of XenServer and be really anti, go speak to Alex. Not right now though, because this is our session.
What we are trying to do here is give you some of the gotchas. It may sound like we're being bad about XenServer, but we're not. We've got lots of experience, lots of large projects that work perfectly well on XenServer. The point of this is to say, this is the stuff that works differently that you might not expect, that might cause you a bit of confusion when you're deploying XenServer instead of vSphere.
Indeed. I mean, what is Zen? What?
Well, can we have the E2E version, please?
Yes, there we go.
There we go. We stepped ahead of ourselves slightly, because what is XenServer? XenServer, is that Zen? Zen, yes, is a free hypervisor. XenServer is the Citrix wrap around Zen. Okay? Now you might think, like I am, what was this slide about again? I'll just let that burn in you. Oh, that's right. It can quite often go wrong. You might be looking at it and thinking, why am I here? What went on before? What sort of situation have I ended up in? And that's what we're going to talk you through. We're going to give you some information about that so that you don't end up here. No one wants to be there.
No one wants to be that guy.
No.
That's a Sunday morning. No.
Yeah?
No, not ever.
Not ever. I'm not sure what went on there. Possibly an NVIDIA drinking session. Don't know.
Yeah.
So let's do...
If you're going to take a picture,
Yeah.
I can't, it's not good because it goes dark, so you can't access
Everyone say boo. So let's have a look at versions and licensing. How are we doing 38 minutes? Awesome. Terms. If you're used to VMware, these are terms that you'll probably recognise. And essentially, you can read in slide, right? So some terms and different resources, which we'll come on to. In terms of licensing, vSphere, enterprise per CPU. Yeah. Notice the vCenter, the bit that you manage it with, sold separately. If this was a Zen desktop environment, it's per 100 VMs. Again, separate. So you've not only got to buy this shizzle in order to run your services on, you also need to buy something to manage it.
Nice.
However, with XenServer, you don't have that. No, that's not that slide, is it? So, powered on VMs. If you've got a Zen desktop, Zen app environment, bear in mind those 100 VMs got to be licensed separately. It's a different service. Okay? Next one. Ooh. Now, if you've got XenServer, or actually if you've got Zen app Zen desktop, you can use all of the fancy features of XenServer. Grotty
That
Free.
is for free
for free.
for people who speak English.
Yes.
Or touch.
Or touch. Note that the management is included. There's no container support, but hey, it's a Zen desktop Zen app environment. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm a VMware admin, am I going to get some value out of this? You're going to save a lot of money.
But it's not just about saving money. That is not going to go well if we keep doing that, is it?
There's only one. So. Be careful.
Okay, let's not do that.
Yes, but you get additional things, and we'll go into the additional benefits that you get from XenServer over and top of vSphere as well. Okay? I'll let you do the core architecture bit, right?
Yes. So XenServer, if you were a VMware admin and used to going on the console, it'll look very similar. In that it's a console, it's Linuxy. DOM 0 is the overriding domain. That's the bit that does everything. And then you get your individual DOMs for your individual instances. This is a split driver model, all lovely. Linux, I hear you say. So I can just piss about with it like I would do in a Linux system. No, don't do that. Do not mess about with the XenServer installation. Don't go installing your own stuff, modifying configuration files. It will go wrong.
It may work, I've never seen it work.
You might be lucky.
You may be the first person ever to go and change DOM 0 and have a working XenServer infrastructure afterwards, but alternatively you may not.
Yes.
So I would advise against changing DOM 0.
Only use
software that Citrix has put. Don't start writing your own notes and modifying the XenServer core environment. Let's talk about objects. An understanding of the objects helps you understand the environment. If you wanted a good book, because you're a VMware admin and you want to learn about it, I can recommend this text. If you don't want to buy a book, this is that on the web for free.
This is really out of date.
Yes, it's like 6.5, 7.
But a lot of the core concepts, core architecture, which is the stuff you really need to understand about XenServer if you're a VMware admin, is the same from this version to the current version.
Yes. Also, if you want to communicate with real live people, the discussions forum, which is very well attended.
It is.
Definitely worth a look.
Some people, like Alex, may say that's because XenServer breaks all the time, but I would not be one of those people.
No, ignore just what he said. So let's have a look at some objects. Networking objects. So, here are all the networking objects you can have. If you're a VMware admin, you might think that's a lot of objects. Next one. Lovely. So, a physical interface is an actual NIC, right? Press the button. Cool. You can bond those NICs together for some availability. Here we've got a bonded one. And either the physical NIC or the bond will go to a network, and you associate the network with a virtual interface on your VM. Cool. Happy days? All understand networking?
So if you're a bit...
I needed a cheer there. All understand networking?
Yes.
Lovely. However, if you're a VMware admin, you'll be possibly used to being able to do all sorts of fancy stuff. Management properties, load balancing, routing.
Can you do any of that on XenServer, Andy?
No. No, you can't.
That is a bit
You can
sad.
do a little bit of QoS, and that's it, against the VM. So, not as granular from a networking perspective, but for Zen apps, Zen desktop, should be fine.
Okay.
Graphics, lots of different, we skip over the graphics objects, mainly because that is an outstanding piece of the XenServer, is the GPU capabilities that it has over and above what you get in a VMware environment.
Not just in terms of performance, but also in terms of management capabilities. For instance, if you look at the NVIDIA management stack for XenServer, it is much more capable, much more fully featured than it is over vSphere. So for a GPU environment, I would still recommend absolutely XenServer.
yes, but
I was attending a presentation where the NVIDIA team was showing off the capabilities in XenServer, and a couple of the VMware admins said, "Oh, that looks awesome, all of that management capability. How do I get that in my VMware environment?" We went, "Move it to XenServer," was the answer. Bless their cotton socks. Storage, bit more fun. Storage repository, physical disks, a virtual disk interface. So,
Andy, that non-nuclear.
yeah, that's
Call it
spot on. Let's call it exactly the same thing as something else. So your physical disks, created into a storage resource. This is the virtual machine. This is the virtual disk, yes? And this, the VBD, virtual block device, which attaches your disk to the VM that's there. Right? Okay, cool.
Right.
Now, you might think, that's a bit complicated, and you'd be right. If I'm looking at my disks and then the VM images, it's not entirely obvious what everything is.
So maybe you can see from the back that this is a UUID. There is no friendly name here. And as somebody who has once lost all of the connections between my VMs and my virtual disks, trying to find what that fucking disk belongs to when you've got 100 VMs is an interesting day or two you can spend. So yes, there's no further. We will return to the subject of alphanumeric hell later.
So yeah, this is a little bit complicated. If you're a VMware admin, on the next slide. Lovely. You might be used to be able to browse your storage repositories, have a look at the disk information, look at the disk configuration. Now in a XenServer environment, it's not configuration files, it's all stored in the XenServer database. All of that information, all of that linking information. So this name is in the XenServer's pools database, which is spread across, is on each one of the servers. So it's a copy of the database. If you lose this information though, then you're in Jim's sad place. Because if this information goes, there's no way of readily associating information. You're just, all of the VMs on your data repository just have the GUID name. There's no standard naming convention for them. So in a VMware environment, you can probably guess which disks go with what. Not so in XenServer. Do not forget your storage data, because then you just lose all of the information. And all you've got is VMs. Oh, it's horrible. Nasty, nasty place. But let's manage it. Let's do managing XenServer. How do I manage it? Key concept here is a pool. I got lost off around. So in a VMware environment, it's a cluster. There you go. I nearly fucked that up. Nearly. No one noticed. So from my cluster, I can turn on HI, I can turn on DRS. In XenServer, it's a pool. The pool master is key. Pool master is in control. You lose, or this turns off, and then you can't manage that environment anymore. You can have up to 16 servers in a pool. So I think similar numbers to.
So we'll actually go into the pool master and management in a bit.
Yep.
Just remember, your pool master is the top of the list.
Take the mic, please.
This went a lot smoother when you weren't here.
Yeah, it's easy when you're not here, Alex. Yeah, so that one at the top is the pool master. Andy, your bit.
That's right, Jim, it's the pool master.
To you, to me.
We've been in league.
Just like VMware.
There you go.
Just like in VMware, if you've got a number of servers in the pool, ideally they're all the same hardware type. In the later versions of XenServers, or after 7, heterogeneous pools, if you've got slightly different servers, they work better. But as ever, try and keep all of the hardware the same. The nice thing though, is you don't, in a XenServer environment, alright, there's a pool, and there's a database, and you can manage it all. But you don't need, like in VMware, this vCenter nonsense. You don't need a separate set of resources in order to manage the environment. In a XenServer environment, dead easy, nice and simple. The pool itself stores the information and data about the environment, so all you need to be able to do is communicate with the pool. XenCenter is a management tool for that, but that's not like vCenter. It doesn't require a database, it's just a Win32 application.
So there's nothing above a pool, so there's no data center. Each pools are individual, it's just XenCenter that aggregates that. They're all perfectly separate. And a lot of people think, I've got vCenter, I've got XenCenter, they're the same. That is not. XenCenter is just a view on the information that XenServer holds within the pool.
Yes.
So there's no business logic inside XenCenter, apart from a couple of odd things, like converting VMDKs into XVAs, which is in XenCenter and you can't do anywhere else or automate it, and that's a massive pain. But yes, XenCenter is not vCenter.
Yes. There are
Some, so you don't even need XenCenter in order to manage the farm. You can log on SSH, there are PowerShell commandlets to manage it directly. You just need to be able to communicate with the pool master. The pool master needs to be open. There's some other nice services that have come in the most recent releases. Insight services, what's the next slide? Let's do it while no one's talking. Get to the next slide. Right, cool. So Insight Services is a Win32 service that's installed on a machine in your environment, and what that'll do is regularly take data from the pool, send it off to Citrix, Citrix do a bit of analysis on it, and then say your pool is fucked, or your pool needs to be updated, or your pool is running beautifully. Insight Server's nice thing. It sends it off to cis-citrix.com. You could not do that if you want to, but it is a nice service. If you want to get all the logs in VMware, you can export the logs. Use that. In XenServer, you do more or less the same thing. Whoop, there you go.
Yeah.
Tools and then.
You didn't used to be able to do that. That's a fairly new thing. So
No, I think that's the seventh thing. Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Anybody seen this before?
One. And it's Neil.
Two.
Right. Okay. I put this in because you can get some interesting graphs and reports. I think I've got like 19 slides on this, just all the different things you could do. It's a separate, so the vSphere controller is a separate VM that you can install, configure, and give you some granularity of managing the environment. Nobody uses it, except Neil.
And when we didn't do this at Synergy previously,
Yeah, because this is brand new.
the brand new
It's never been
33,
seen before.
never been seen before, we had one of the lead developers for XenServer sitting in the audience looking at us. And we put this slide up, and he went, ooh.
And he went, ooh, because it's really old. And
Yeah, I was like, when did anybody last work on this, Mr. James Bulpin? I just threw his name in there for you, Sam. I was like, 3 years ago, something like that. So yeah, it's there, but it may not do everything you need it to do.
But if you did want some more granular control, you can have a look at this. And maybe you having a look at it with, bless you, Insight, Citrix, look at it again. You still need XenServer tools, so in VMware, you put your VMware tools in all of your VMs in order to optimize their performance, get some management information. Exactly the same in XenServer. There's VM tools, self-updating tools, which is nice. Next.
Allows you to do all of this stuff.
They allow you to do all of that. But you can read. Crack on. Or you can also do backups and user VSS stuff. That's how you do that. Lovely. Andy, this looks so awesome. I'm going to go and deploy XenServer tomorrow in my entire estate. Can I have a single tool to manage both the XenServer and VMware or Hyper-V environment? Yes. Can I do backups with it? Oh, can I monitor it? I should really have learned this. Can I monitor it? Yes, you can do all sorts of fancy tools later. There's even chats from ControlUp can help manage your environments. Yeah, happy days. And can I do backups? Yes. Happy, happy, happy joy. So, what about patching? XenServer environments used to be a complete bugger to patch and maintain. With the latest release, you've got live patching. It's a really nice feature. So you can you can update without bringing your servers down. Cool.
Yeah, so if any VMware admin said, patching on XenServer is a nightmare, it used to be, and they used to be correct, and now you are. So that's a better position to be in. Well, balancing, I'll let you do this again.
Can I do load balancing in XenServer? Yeah, ish. There's a feature if you've got a pool, you can enable WLB. It actually went away when Citrix messed about a bit with XenServer. They took this feature out, and a load of people complained, so they put it back in again. It allows you to balance loads across servers depending on different criteria. All nice. Some people don't even use it, especially like a XenApp and desktop environment, don't really need that balancing function. But they put it in anyway, because it does some nice reports. There we go. You get some nice usage reports that people just use that for. Don't get it to do the load balancing itself, not that bothered, but the reporting can be very useful. More reporting. Cool. HA. Yeah, it's pretty horrible in XenServer. In a VMware environment, the servers all communicate with themselves, it's little agents, balances all nicely, HA just works. Not quite the case in XenServer. XenServer requires you to have a heartbeat storage location. So all the servers, and there needs to be at least 3. Not only your 2 server nonsense here. So it needs to be at least 3, and they'll all communicate with each other on the network, and they'll all communicate with a heartbeat to avoid a split brain situation. Sort of feels alright, sort of works. You can do restart services, That all seems good, unless it goes wrong. And then it goes horribly, horribly wrong. Do the penguin. It's not often you get to tell Jim, do the penguin, but there we go. What can happen in a XenServer environment where the XenServer is configured for HA is if those servers lose sight of their storage repository, that's their heartbeat disk, what they'll do is they'll think, ooh, this is not a good place to be. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stop all of the networking.
So it's to prevent split brain, right?
It's to prevent a split brain, so yes, my data is good, right? But now every one of my XenServers in that pool doesn't have any networking. Again,
This definitely hasn't happened to us, and definitely didn't make us panic like hell. Because when something slightly goes wrong, and every single one of your XenServers in the pool completely shuts down its network.
Which you've enabled HA on.
Yeah, you've enabled HA.
Highly available, and then they're all not at the same time.
Yes. When HA turns everything off. So be careful of this. And all you need to do to remember this is just think of the penguin.
Yep. Do the penguin.
And the fence.
And the fence, yeah.
Oh, it's the fence really,
it's the fence really, yeah. Next one. Can you recover from disaster? The first thing, in any disaster situation, is don't panic, right? Don't shit it. Just keep calm and carry on. Next one.
Yeah.
Make sure that you've backed up your data. You've backed up that pool metadata. That is a capability and a function, and should be done. Obviously, when we were talking about the disks and not losing the link between the disks, because that's stored in the database, that's the pool metadata. Do not lose that. Make sure that that's backed up. There is a DR capability in XenServer. You can configure it for DR so that the VMs will come up in a different pool. It's a bit of a faff to configure.
So it also requires HPA or SCSI. You can't do it with NFS.
Yes.
And almost nobody uses this because the reason people use it for XenServer in is to do a XenApp and desktop environment. We're all stateless here, right? So DR for stateless VMs is not needed, let's say. So almost nobody uses this, which is probably a good thing. If you want to use XenServer for proper server workloads and not a XenApp desktop workload, it may be that the built-in stuff for DR is suitable for you, but I would probably go out and talk to somebody else about a more fully featured DR solution, shall we say.
I've been so enthused, Andrew and Jim, by your eloquence on XenServer. I'm going to go and migrate stuff tomorrow. What tools can I use? There is a conversion tool that will take your VMware OVF, make it into XenServer, if you want to. Although, well, we were talking about this earlier on, not especially in the XenApp and desktop environment, just build another one. You've automated it. Should be nice and straightforward.
That's correct. We've all automated everything.
Everyone's automated everything. Yep. Yep.
Good. Everybody nodding. Brilliant.
John. Cool. So just automate XenServer. Oh, that brings us nicely onto automation.
It does.
I'm going to introduce this, and then I'm going to sit down and have a beer while you rant. So there are commandlets, tools for XenServer. Are you laughing? Are you laughing with your outside voice? I'll let Jim explain more.
Oh, please do, Jim.
You know, I mentioned alphanumeric hell previously. Yeah. So if you are a VMware admin, you're used to vSphere commandlets, get VM, get disk. It all works. You're all happy, and you think I can automate this. It'll take me 10 minutes, and it takes you 20. In XenServer, if you think I'll automate this, it'll take me 10 minutes. It'll take you 2 days. So these the XenServer commandlets were directly exported from the API without human intervention. So developers like having nice UUIDs to tie everything together because it's unique and they can make sure that they don't get conflicts. Human people do not like UUIDs. And so that'd be hard enough, right? Trying to work with UUIDs. But that's not actually how it works. There's another thing layered on top of the UUIDs called opaque references. I have never heard anything that is better named. So these are things you actually need to tie individual elements together. So if you want to find out what the NICs are on a VM, you need to find out what the opaque references for those NICs on that VM should be. Then you need to search all of the NICs for that opaque reference, and then you can get the information about that NIC. It is horrible. And having said that, actually, you can do everything. Yeah, it'll just take you forever. There is a very good reason why Cole Webster hasn't done a documentation script for XenServer. Yeah, and if you speak to Esther, or is Christian in the room for OneGlass? I was pretty amazed at the stuff that he did for OneGlass, automating XenServer and translating all that. That must have been hell, and he must have some really good war stories. So you've bugged it up again.
The first time. Oh, your battery is running low.
Oh, good.
Oh.
How low is that? That's why I plugged it in earlier when we were in the speakers room.
Right.
There you go.
Talk about XenServer performance and I'll be plugging it.
Okay. So XenServer performance used to be pretty average. Then it upgraded DOM 0 to 64-bit. Much better now. So if you're a VMware admin, somebody says that XenServer's performance is shit. No longer true. For XenApp, XenDesktop, perfectly fine. If you look at the sort of numbers, yes, vSphere is better. But as I say, for the XenApp, XenDesktop workload, it's perfectly adequate. There is a rumour that AWS are moving away from Xen to KVM because of these numbers. Do we know anybody who works for AWS to confirm these rumours, Esteban?
I haven't a clue, mate.
All right, good stuff. Power.
Power. It's a good power, is it? Turn it off.
No battery.
The battery is running out.
You shout.
No, it's fine. So, in a VMware environment, you just click on, you would know to set high performance for your power policy. Yes? Come on, it's a question. Yes?
Yes.
Wow, you
You really are on fire, people. It's awesome. Well, that's cool, and that's fine. In a XenServer environment, you do not need to do that. Should just do it automatically.
me and Andy disagree on this, actually.
Yep, that's what I think of that.
Too far away.
Yeah, me and Andy disagree on this. I say you should still set it in the BIOS as well, so you don't lose a whole load of performance due to thermals. Anything other than high performance will throttle you back based on thermal performance. That doesn't work. What does it mean?
Just needs tender loving care. I've lost it now. Yeah, move on. Alright, cool. If you did want to optimize the performance, that little discussion aside about high performance, if you did want to optimize the XenServer environment, give DOM 0, that's the controlling domain.
That tender loving care, ladies and gentlemen, works every time.
Increase the amount of RAM to DOM 0. If you've got like, more than 50 odd VMs, use a nice thing in version 7 is you can do it in the GUI, just used to be a command line, it's not the case now.
Better together.
See what we did there?
Citrix have fairly recently come to the conclusion that seeing as they own both XenServer and XenApp XenDesktop, that they could add features rather than just letting the competitors have exactly the same features.
Yeah.
Which they have started doing, and that is really good. So it's not just cheaper, it's actually better.
There's some extra performance issues. So Simon alluded to some of these. So you've got your API integration, so you can do some antivirus scanning. I don't think anyone else has that. You've got your fancy graphics capability that's way up and above on other vendors. Very nice integration. You can even do VM migration with GPU capability, which you can't do anywhere else. You've got the tablet thing, which its name escapes me. Sorry, continue.
Continue.
You've also got, and I have published some stuff on this, PVS, so the optimization for a PVS environment. If you're running on XenServer, you can effectively cache the image that's coming from the PVS server. That does improve performance. It is very, very cool.
So, although we've got little features and it looks pretty biased towards XenServer here, right?
That's because it is.
It is. But this is just for a XenApp XenDesktop
Yeah, what we've
environment.
selected here are all of the features where XenServer really does seem as if it's much better over, say, VMware. But these are really XenAppy, XenDesktop features. Yeah? If we go to something a bit more enterprisey, then you start to see where XenServer sort of drops off a bit.
Yes. So, excellent underneath XenApp XenDesktop workload. For everything else, perhaps not. We're actually under time. Means I can grab a cigarette.
Yep.
So,
If there was a conclusion, would that conclusion involve running down a hill chasing after cheese?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it would.
this is a UK sport where somebody rolls a large cheese down a hill and then loads of people chase it.
I wouldn't say it's UK. I mean, it's like one place
Okay.
in the UK.
Thank you for the
It's like we're all
correction,
doing
Neil.
this
Yeah,
all over
we
the
don't all
country.
play this at school, that is true. So if you want, this analogy is getting quite stretched. So you should not be running headlong
Yeah, see what we did
into
there?
a XenServer deployment if you're a VMware admin. You should take care to think about HA, the storage and the networking, particularly HA with the fencing that can really throw you. But if you do it correctly, then you can have a lovely, happy.
There's added value for
Yeah.
experience for your end users and experience for your wallet.
Yes. And that
Is that?
is that. Thank you very much.
You've been a wonderful